Hi. So, how are all of you guys doing? I appear to be back on YouTube in front of my normal camera and my microphone and my fancy lights doing the regular YouTube thing. And I'm not going to waste too much time at the beginning of this video going over any of that stuff other than to say, obviously, I have been on a break from YouTube doing normal stuff. It's been about 6 or so weeks. It's been very good for me with a lot of things going on, changing careers from a prior company to a new company and a new job, all by choice, all very good stuff, and things are going very well. And also just needing that recharge time away from doing this on a regular basis and just running an active YouTube channel. And of course, I think around a week ago or maybe a little over a week ago, I did make a quick cell phone video update thing, which was just kind of a fun thing, sort of as an experiment. Nothing serious. I don't know how that video got almost 4,000 views. You guys are awesome for watching it because I kind of expected that everyone would be like, oh wow, a new video from Rob, and see it's Metroid and open it up and just see me, blabbing on my cell phone and immediately turn it off and dismiss it as garbage. But actually I had a great response. Everyone was very positive, engaged in the conversation. And again, it got a ton of my normal view count, which I did not expect, given that I've been on a break and I made just a cell phone video. So either way, what I'm doing now, I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of slowly dipping my toes back into this. A lot of stuff going on in the Nintendo world. Couple of video ideas popping into my head again, and as my schedule is freeing up and I'm feeling more recharged, I felt comfortable at least dipping my toes in and doing more of a normal video for you guys today. So enough of that boring spiel and nonsense. Let's just get into the goods. You guys are here to just talk about the fun stuff, right? Let's kind of get back in the groove of this thing and discuss some crazy, exciting, and also kind of weird Nintendo news, right? So, as we know, the big thing that happened earlier this week was we finally got the first Nintendo Direct for 2022, which I was initially theorizing would happen in January, and that was wrong. It ended up happening in the first week of February instead, which is fine. At the end of the day, it was just nice to get a Nintendo Direct and kind of set up a lot of what we can expect for 2022. And while this video and conversation isn't really meant to be focused on specifically the Nintendo Direct, I will reiterate what I said on Twitter and in my little video on Twitter, which is that, man, it was a great Direct. I mean, almost everything hit and landed for me, and that's even as somebody who isn't a big RPG or JRPG fan. And there was quite a bit of RPG love shown in that Direct, but for some reason, almost all of them got me really excited. Not the least of which was the announcement and confirmation of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is the one JRPG franchise I am personally obsessed with, and I am so excited to see this third game coming out, which is also planned for this year, by the way, which is so mind-blowing. And so many other things. It was a really great Direct. And while there was no Metroid or Metroid Prime 4, and there was no Zelda or Bayonetta 3 in that Direct, which is tragic. I wanted news on all three of those games and franchises. There was another update to a huge franchise that has everybody talking and everybody forming opinions. It's mostly great, mostly exciting conversations and stuff happening around it, but there are some weird things to pick apart. And I have such opinions myself that I thought this was a worthy topic to bring me back on to more of a normal video. And that, of course, has to do with Mario Kart 8. And finally, after 8 years since the original game released on the Wii U, Mario Kart 8, we're finally getting more DLC specific to the Switch Deluxe version. And it's a crazy awesome value. Now, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't remind you on my first video, kind of dipping my toes back into running a regular YouTube channel again, that I do like growing my channel. I'm always paying attention to the channel. I'm hoping to grow it bigger and bigger. I'm currently sitting at just over 18,000 subscribers, which was a huge milestone for me to hit right after the new year. I appreciate you guys very much for that. I'm now, of course, focusing my sights squarely on 20,000 subscribers. It would feel amazing to hit that after 8 years doing YouTube. So, as you watch this video, if you seem to like what I'm doing and what you hear, then I sure hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. So at this point, we know what the Mario Kart DLC news is, right? They officially announced that they are adding a ton of new courses that I believe every single one is meant to be kind of an updated HD remake or remaster of prior Mario Kart tracks from the entire lineage of Mario Kart games before Mario Kart 8 itself released. And this is a common practice. I mean, going back many years and many iterations of Mario Kart, we've seen Nintendo start to bring back older versions of courses and reimagine them in the engine and graphical style for whatever that newest game is at that time. And Mario Kart 8 was no exception. Even from the initial release on the Wii U, they had a bunch of new courses, and then they had a bunch of kind of remakes of old courses. That's been a common practice for many years. And now what they announced is a total of just a mind-shattering 48 new courses being added to Mario Kart 8, the game that we never thought would see new DLC, the game that keeps selling despite itself, the game that we've been waiting to move on from and finally have a Mario Kart 9 or something release, a successor, and instead Nintendo drops this bomb of 48 new courses that, again, are all made up of prior courses, but they're redone and remade in the new engine for Mario Kart 8, probably including some of the verticality using the hover aspect of Mario Kart 8 and all these things. And it's a crazy, crazy situation. It's a ton of content. It's more than double the amount of courses in the current base game with all the DLC stuff that already released years ago. It's just insanely cool. Now, obviously, I have some very strong opinions about how this DLC might fit into the concept of a Mario Kart 9 or a Mario Kart successor and that whole thing. And I don't really know that I want to spend too much time on that stuff in this video. I want to more talk about the larger conversation, which is how people can access and or pay for this DLC, and if it's worth it, and if it qualifies as something different than DLC and more like a games as a service kind of thing, and all sorts of fun stuff. Very interesting conversations happening around this DLC. I think that the first thing to spend time talking about is, of course, how we access and pay for it. And there are two options. One is to just buy it outright for $25, and these courses are going to start rolling out, I think, on March 18th or sometime near the end of March next month. And they're going to roll out a few courses at a time all the way until the end of 2023 next year. So it's like 18 to 20 months or so worth of rolling out of new Mario Kart tracks. I mean, from 2022 into late 2023. And you can buy that and start the rollout for just one-time purchase of $25 to have all the courses, and every time new ones get added, you just have them because you bought it for $25. The other is if you're paying for the Nintendo Switch Online's expansion pass, not the base $20 a year version, but the expansion pass for $50 a year, the one that includes N64 and Genesis games, then you just have access to all of these courses in this Mario Kart 8 content for as long as you continue to pay for the service, just like what they did with the Animal Crossing DLC before it. Now, of course, this has a lot of people talking about what the best way to access this is, and if they see this as a good value, if they see it as not a good value, and if it's even a good idea for them to start including stuff like this DLC as like a paid service kind of thing where you're paying for ongoing access to DLC through your online subscription, you know? It's almost like Nintendo's version of like Game Pass, where Game Pass on Xbox, you just pay every month and you have access to all of these new current games through their Game Pass service, but as soon as you stop paying for it, then you lose access to those games unless you otherwise just bought them outright. And Nintendo, instead of doing it with current games, we've now seen two examples of them doing it with current DLC. Current DLC for Animal Crossing, and now current DLC for Mario Kart 8. And instead of paying for it monthly, you're paying for it yearly, as opposed to Game Pass, which is monthly or yearly or whatever. And so there's just a lot going on with these subscription models, right? I talked about it months ago. The subscription model concept is the way of the future for every industry: clothing, makeup, food, movie streaming, video game content. It's just subscription, subscription, subscription. That's what everyone wants out of us, is regular dollars, right? Including the gaming space, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. I am somebody who, you guys know, the Nintendo 64 is my favorite console of all time, but I don't personally see a $50 annual value in the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass. I have the base $20 version, but I'm not interested in the expansion pass yet, so I'm not paying for that. So for me, when I saw this Mario Kart 8 DLC announcement, I was like, this stuff is awesome. I can't wait for it. I want it. I don't even have the expansion, so I didn't even consider that option. I immediately saw $25 for almost 50 new courses. Easy. That's an easy purchase. You're paying 50 cents a course, basically. And that's an amazing value, and it's going to give me so much new Mario Kart content for the next 18 months for only $25, like half the price of the original game. It's a steal at that one-time purchase price. Now, what I think Nintendo might actually be trying to do with this kind of rolling out of Mario Kart courses over the next 18 months is I think that in lieu of Smash Bros. Ultimate and the conclusion to that DLC and the hype around the announcements of every new character and the little mini presentation they got to do for each one, they're now replacing that ongoing hype cycle of Smash Bros. Character reveals with now Mario Kart course reveals. Because I don't think we know every single course and when they're going to release. So maybe with each new, dumping of new courses, whether it's 1, 2, or 4 at a time, or whatever that's going to look like. And they might even have that roadmap out there. I will admit I have not yet seen it. So I don't know exactly how they're going to be rolling it out, but that's not really as important to this conversation. It's more about the fact that I think they can reveal the next dump of courses every so often, and that, hype cycle of when we get new Mario Kart 8 courses can sort of replace the hype cycle that Nintendo had with Smash Bros. Character reveals. Okay, so I'm coming back because I did do a quick search to just double check what the roadmap looked like, and it looks like only Wave 1, the initial release of courses, has been confirmed, and it looks like we're getting 8 courses, and we know exactly what those are, but we don't know what's going to happen after Wave 1, the subsequent waves, which is going to be, like 7 or 8 waves probably total if they stick to around this amount of courses with each wave. So that means that with Wave 1 known, once we start to get excited for Wave 2 several months later, that's when Nintendo can step in and start doing that kind of hype cycle for what the next courses are going to be. And I think that that's part of the brilliance behind how Nintendo is doing this. Now, there's actually another element to this conversation and people's feelings about it that is also very much worth talking about. And it's whether or not Mario Kart 8 and what Nintendo is doing with it by including it, the DLC, I should say, as part of the online service expansion pack, if it's starting to maybe trend in the direction of being more of like a games as a service kind of game as opposed to just a normal regular game. And we all know games as a service is a very common thing. It's a very popular thing. More and more games and companies and franchises and consoles are veering towards that model in a lot of ways, and some people like it, some people don't, some people are in the middle. I don't prefer it for most games, but I will admit there are some games that fall under games as a service category that I do enjoy. Something like, I don't know, like a Destiny, for example. Like, I like Destiny, and I think that definitely is a games as a service kind of thing. So, that does happen, and whether or not it's a games as a service thing, I think is maybe in many ways could be up to the individual. There was actually a post by Spawnwave he made on Twitter the other day. He was a good friend of mine, of course. I know John, and him and I had some back and forth conversation about it in response on that thread. And he basically posed the question on if we are all seeing this as like a games as a service thing with Mario Kart 8, because if you have the expansion pass, you're paying, monthly or yearly to just have access to it. And of course, I responded that I don't personally see it that way because I'm not paying for the expansion pass. I'm going to buy it one time for $25, and then it's just mine, so it's not a service. I don't have to pay for it regularly. I also don't need to be connected online to just play and enjoy Mario Kart 8, which most games, maybe not even most, but many, many games that are games as a service do require an online connection or even only can be played online. And that's not Mario Kart 8. So that's a different conversation. I think it's a healthy, important conversation to have. It seems like John and maybe many other people lean towards believing that Mario Kart 8 is now a games as a service game. I still don't see it that way because you can play it without this DLC, you can play it offline, and you don't have to pay regularly for it. You can also buy this DLC for just one time. But if you're paying for the annual expansion pass service and that's the only way you're accessing all of this DLC, which is now half of the game, then I could see how somebody could see Mario Kart 8 as treading that line between a regular game and a games as a service game. So hard to say for sure. I think many people will have many different viewpoints on it, but I personally I don't see it as games as a service. I think it's a regular game, and you can buy for $25 one time an expansion pass DLC the same way we did with like the Smash Bros. Fighters Pass or for a game like Horizon. Those are the examples I used on Twitter when I was talking with John about it. And I don't think anyone would see Smash Bros. As a games as a service just because they rolled out new DLC characters. That doesn't make sense to me. So Yeah, that's just how I see it. And so with that, I think I'm going to wrap up this video today, my first normal video in about a month and a half or so. And it feels good to be back kind of testing the waters here and seeing how I feel about doing this stuff. Like I said, got a couple of other topics about Metroid, Zelda, other things that I want to discuss over the coming days or weeks. I don't know what my schedule looks like yet, but it was really fun to come back and do kind of a normal video for you guys. What do you think about the Mario Kart stuff, the Nintendo Direct stuff? Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And yeah, I'm just going to wrap this up. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob over with 2Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.